Hey there, I'm Nivmiz and I like to make games. I'm currently working on a game where you play as a lizard who dreams of seeing his first sunset. Until now, the whole draw of the game has just been the novelty of playing as this cute little lizard character. But unfortunately, this really isn't enough to make for a good game. I found myself realizing that there was something fundamental that was completely missing. Fun. Walking around as a lizard is satisfying and it can be fun for a while, but there was really nothing engaging going on for the player to latch onto. I decided that I needed to add a new movement mechanic, something that would make traversing the oasis snappy and fun. My inspiration for this mechanic came from an unlikely place, the ocean. I went out windsurfing with an experienced friend of mine, and I learned the basics of the sport. I had so much fun gliding across the water at high speeds that when I returned home, I had a single goal in mind: add that feeling to Reptilian. Luckily, I had already implemented something that had the potential to become a high-speed water vehicle: the turtle. In the last devlog, I showed him as essentially a glorified moving platform. You could hop onto his back and ride across a lake, but you certainly couldn't control his movement, and he swam at an incredibly slow pace. But now that I had the inspiration, I knew what I had to do. I completely changed the moving platform-like behavior, letting you control the turtle's direction by pointing your camera. I also pushed the speed to its absolute limit, making it feel like you're flying over the water. I also added particles and effects to really emphasize the speed you're going at, and lo and behold, it feels amazing. Riding the turtle might not be as fun as windsurfing, but it definitely evokes the same feeling, and it's an absolute blast to ride across the water. The turtle now acts more like a vehicle than a moving platform. You're in full control of where he swims, and you can't move the lizard while you're riding it. I took this same approach and applied it to the two other companions that I've implemented, the tortoise and the snake. It feels great to just ride on their backs, but I definitely want to make each of them more unique. If you have any ideas for what challenges or puzzles they could be used to overcome, leave them in the comments below. If the game looks interesting to you, I'd really appreciate it if you could take the time to wishlist it on Steam. I know every developer on YouTube asks this, but it really is a massive help, because the more wishlists your game has, the more Steam pushes it to people once it's released. It's completely free and it's a great way to support the channel. Also, if you want to play early versions of the game, I have a Patreon, where for $5 a month you get access to early builds of the game, shoutouts at the end of videos, and an exclusive channel in my Discord. If that sounds interesting to you, go check it out. Anyway, now that I'd added that element of fun the game desperately needed, I also wanted to make these reptiles feel like actual characters. Now, there's only one surefire way to make inanimate 3D models into something a player can empathize and connect with, and it's a feature I was pretty scared to tackle: dialogue. Adding a fully fledged dialogue system was probably one of the bigger technical challenges I'd faced so far in development. I needed to integrate it with a modular interaction system for the player, make translating it into other languages easy, and allow for features like branching dialogue and questions with multiple answers. I ended up essentially creating a very simple programming language, and a system that lets NPCs read from an external text file that has all the lines and syntax for special features. I'm really happy with how it all ended up, and I think it's really customizable and modular and will be pretty useful in the future. But now that I'd finished the back end of the dialogue system, I needed to find a way to actually display it. Now, this was a challenge in its own right. I wanted the dialogue to come out of the characters' mouths with a little speech bubble, but since the player can freely move themselves in the camera, I needed to find a way to always keep the text visible on screen. The solution to this problem is called billboarding, and it's a way of making a 2D sprite always face the camera in a 3D game. I implemented it, and I think it's pretty satisfying seeing the bubble always face the right way, no matter where you are. To display text on the bubble, I first tried using Unity's normal text displaying system. It almost worked, but because of the full screen pixelization effect, the text ended up looking blurry and muddy. This was happening because to get the pixelization, I first lower the resolution of the camera's output and then scale it back up to the full size of the screen. During this process, the text gets blurry because it's trying to stay readable at low resolutions. Unfortunately, this just looks awful. We can fix this by rendering the text to a separate camera, sharpening the output of that camera, and then pasting it back onto the screen. The text now looks nice and sharp, and it's floating in our speech bubble just like it should. Overall, I'm incredibly happy with the direction the game is moving. I think the new riding mechanics add a personality to the game that it was severely lacking before, and I can't wait to add more reptile NPCs and start working on the actual world the game will take place in. Don't forget to wishlist the game on Steam, leave a comment with any and all suggestions you have, like if you liked the video, dislike if you didn't. Until next time, see ya.